Chapter 2. They've Gone Missing. Skip 11 years ahead. The words of Melissa Wolfer. One day, the superintendent of the school district, where we were both working at the time, came to me and said that we needed to talk. He is a loving man and cared for both Jason and I. I worked as the business manager and Jason a custodian for the same district. He gently told me that Jason's supervisor and co-workers had noticed that he was getting more unsteady, dropping things, stumbling, and in general doing things that were dangerous for his condition. It was time for him to stop working. That was another blow, but we took it in stride, became grateful for long-term disability insurance, and adjusted our lives. And now Chapter 2. Now that I have finished the book, allow me to actually begin by clearing something up. There are some pretty incredible medical and scientific statements that I will be making in this book. And by medical and scientific statements, I very succinctly mean that I will be making them up. There are 4 reasons why I choose to write this way. 1, it made it easier to begin to comprehend what life is really like for someone who wants to know about SCA. 2, I felt like it personalized the disease and made it more real, again for those outside the disease but who are seeking to have a better understanding. 3, I wrote this way in an attempt to bring encouragement and humor to my fellow Taxians. And 4th, doing so made it easier to live and deal with my neurological disease. Well, what is going on inside of my head? The simplest way for me to describe the process of the daily workings is to say it like this. The brain is the head office, and as such, it makes all the executive decisions, big or small. Once those decisions have been reached, they are sent to a smaller office that is located behind the main office and lies just a short elevator ride below. It is the function of this office to correctly interpret those corporate mandates and to send them swiftly on to the pertaining departmental supervisors for immediate action. So a good example of this process would be, let's say, a mosquito lands on your arm and is proceeding to do its mosquito-type thing. The brain is alerted, and upon being fully apprised of the situation, it immediately goes into action, sending a message through proper channels that the mosquito has crossed the line, is in violation of disrupting the peace, and now must die, or at least be severely discouraged. The correct signal is sent out by the little office of interpretation and arrives quickly within the area of the arm nerves, which are the department supervisors, and which also are responsible for the muscles in this region of the body. So this results in a quick and correct response of the arm, which lifts its hand, forms it into a strike formation, and it brings the offender to a swift and a sure conclusion. Or maybe you come to a stairway that you will need to descend. Everything that I just mentioned above is the same in this situation, except here the final decision made by the brain and the command that is again sent out by the little office goes directly to the nerves and the legs. These nerves are in a supervisor role of the rather large leg muscle union, which in turn has direct control over the members of the feet. The complete process happens before most people even have stopped to think about it, and they find themselves effortlessly standing at the bottom of the stairs, because this whole exchange took place internally, swiftly, and it came off without a hitch. Well, this process works exactly the same for me, at least the first part anyway. The part where the brain gets the initial signal that there might be some kind of action that is called for. And after that, well, it could be anybody's ball game. More often than not, any move I make towards anything resembling a swift and sure style of mosquito justice will most likely end up in a meeting between my thumb and my eye. And any attempt made at a quick descent down a staircase is always going to end up with me performing a very realistic impression of a broken old man laying in a heap at the bottom of that set of stairs. I'm not very good at delivering a variety of impressions, but this is one that I've got perfected, and if you ever witnessed my performance, I'm sure that you would swear that it was the real deal. The key to a good impression, I feel, is to enter truly into your subject and make their reality your own. I've performed this perfect impression several times in the past, but usually I try my best to avoid doing so at all costs because the truth is, while I agree that I might be good at this particular impression, very rarely do I enjoy performing it. I do, of course, have a theory as to why I think that the delivery of this impression seems to come so effortlessly for me. I believe that it's because of the main two situations that have been going on inside of the little office. And by the way, I suppose I should mention here that some of the higher-ups in the medical field insist that the proper name for what I refer to as the little office is the cerebellum. I guess that would make a certain amount of sense, as the disease contains the word cerebellar, but I still prefer referring to it as the little office. So let's see, where was I? Oh yeah, I was explaining my two-factor theory. Well, one of the situations going on is that the person who is initially assigned as the overall supervisor of the little office, the one who is responsible for seeing to it that everything runs smoothly and that everybody does their job correctly in that department, has himself become unstable and unreliable. But first let me fully explain this and what appears to be the driving force behind it. And to do so, I first need to back up several weeks before my diagnosis of SCA back in 2003. I think that the easiest way for you to begin to understand the whole picture of what was going on in the little office at that time would simply be for me to submit to you a direct transcript of an actual conversation that took place between that supervisor and one of his office workers. Hey, Bob, would you happen to have seen Hank lately? Or have any idea where he is? And Bob says, nope, sorry, I don't know where he is. Last time I saw him, he was trash talking the working conditions around here. He was over there near the water cooler with some of his other buddies. It seems like they were always complaining about something. I even heard that they were threatening to stop coming into work. Yeah, I know. About half the workers here have been making the same old threat about leaving for a while now. I keep telling them that I'm not sure where they think they're going to go because no one else is hiring here right now. The fact is that I don't believe anyone is ever going to be doing any hiring. To have them not show up now is just plain bad timing because I have a very urgent message from the main office for the legs that has come straight from the top. I need it transcribed and sent down ASAP. And since the legs are Hank's cover department and I can't find Hank, would you mind, Bob, filling in? I mean, I know you usually deal with the facial nerves, but we're a little short-handed here, and I would appreciate it if you would give it a go. And so Bob tried his best, and he got the message to the legs in time. But it just wasn't the same because the face muscle commands are not the same as the leg muscle commands. And even though he had a rough idea of what to do and access to the leg muscle manual, Bob couldn't pull it off with the deficiency in the legs becoming noticed. Soon other departments started falling short. The eyes lost their sense of spatial awareness. No longer were they able to instruct the legs correctly on where to go, and this resulted in the repeating ramming of the shoulders, who didn't find that situation amusing, into the door frames around the house. No longer was it a situation that would be able to be contained, and several weeks later the whole department was put through an MRI audit. The result of the MRI investigation was now there was conclusive evidence that 50 to 60% of the little office workers had gone missing, and all indications were that they wouldn't be back. So the department, having no choice, soldiered on and continued to do the best that they could under the circumstances. But the situation made an already difficult job even worse, and compounded the level of stress for the department supervisor. He began to take the actions of the defiant workers who had skipped out and gone missing very, very personally. His work attendance and performance became erratic. He started missing work, often not showing up for days with no excuse, and leaving the department completely unsupervised. And when he did show up for work, the workers that were still in the office would often observe him acting in a very unstable manner and began to wonder if he had started to drink, possibly even doing so on the job. The situation that was happening in the small office began to have ripple effects, and soon layoffs were happening throughout the entire body. Those layoffs and the little control room situation continue to happen today. Even as I write these words, I can feel the real-time frustrations that my various bodily departmental supervisors go through on a daily basis. And there is not any indication that an end to this situation can be viewed anywhere in the immediate future. At this time, however, there are numerous talks going on and negotiations happening between departments. Internal deals are being made that are leading towards cooperation, compromises in areas of individual departmental preferences, and sacrifices made for the good of the whole body. There are still daily challenges and serious issues to deal with, but I am confident that they will be met head-on and dealt with as the little office continues to struggle and tries to put on a brave face.